Back in here, and then we can start with the list.
So I have 5 concurrences. 3 are the energy bills, and 2 are simple. There's one's a receipt, and one we have a conference committee.
Okay.
2 words are relevant.
Okay, total 5. I'd like to know where, if we could, let's wait for Senator Hester and Senator Washington. You look back. Okay, guys, let's get going here. Okay, so everybody looking at the voting list here, and I have a little typo on mine, I guess here. Yeah, voting list number 36, and so we've got some concurrences to deal with. So what I'm going to propose is let's go through this list. Starting with 826, we're going to go through, hopefully we can knock out a bunch of them, and then we'll take up the governor's bill last. We're going to definitely take that bill up before we leave here, and then we have to do some concurrences on some important bills. So, okay, so we're going to start with you, Devin, on House Bill 826.
House Bill 826, Office of Small, Minority, and Women Business Affairs, Interdepartmental Advisory Committee, Repeal and Definitions. As amended, House Bill 826 repeals the Interdepartmental Advisory Committee and creates the Governor's Subcabinet on Socioeconomic Procurement Participation. So the amendments on page 21 of your packet strike the provisions of the bill and create the Governor's Subcabinet. The Governor's Subcabinet would be composed of the Special Secretary of the Governor's Office, Secretary of the Budget and Management, Commerce, General Services, Health, Human Services, Housing and Community Development, Information Technology, Public Safety and Correctional Services, Secretary of Transportation, Secretary of Veterans and Military Families, Chief Procurement Officer, and the Minority Business Enterprise Ombudsman. And the subcabinet would study socioeconomic procurement programs in other states, to identify successes and best practices, develop accountability measures for procurement forecasts, work with the Office of State Procurement to implement process improvements that directly impact socioeconomic procurement businesses' ability to fairly compete for and understand state contracting opportunities, and then identify and recommend statutory and regulatory reforms to strengthen and improve the state's socioeconomic procurement programs.
Questions for Devin on this amendment? Okay, seeing none. Okay, Senator Augustine moves the amendment. A second from the vice chair. Okay, just on the amendment. Okay, all in favor of the amendment to House Bill 826, raise your hand. All opposed, motion carries. We now have House Bill 826 as amended before us. Is there a motion? Senator Augustine moves the bill as amended. Senator Carrozza is the second. Discussion? All in favor, House Bill 826 as amended, raise your hand. All opposed, that motion carries unanimously. Next up, Devin, House Bill 1111.
House Bill 1111, Public Utilities, Solar Energy Generating Systems, systems located on or over water retention ponds, quarries, or brownfields. This bill expands eligibility under the Small Solar Energy Generating System Incentive Program to include solar energy generating systems located on or over a water retention pond or quarry currently or previously designated for industrial use. The systems must have generating capacities between 20 kilowatts and 5 megawatts and otherwise meet all program eligibility requirements. The bill takes effect July 1, 2025. There are no amendments.
Okay, questions for Devin? Yes, Senator Gallion.
So this just adds something that can be used for that whole program. It's not broadening the dollar amount or anything.
No, correct. It's just saying, so on a non-navigable body of water, you can put up a solar panel on an island or something created that floats in the pond.
All right, well, if it takes some pressure off of our good ag land, sounds like a good bill to me.
Okay, do you want to move the bill? There are no amendments. Senator Gallion, you want to move it? Such a good bill. Okay, Senator Gallion moves the bill, second from Senator Brooks. Any further discussion? All in favor of House Bill 1111, raise your hand. All opposed, that motion carries unanimously. Let's next go to House Bill 1121, which is a cross-file of Senator Benson's bill, Senate Bill 687. Stacy.
House Bill 1121, Child Care Scholarship Program, Youth Transitioning from Foster Placement to Successful Adulthood Pilot Program Establishment. This bill establishes the Youth Transitioning from Foster Placement to Successful Adulthood Pilot Program administered by the Maryland State Department of Education to assist foster youth in applying for and accessing subsidies in the Child Care Scholarship Program for the foster youth's child. The pilot program must begin by January 1, 26 and end on December 31, 28. MSDE must remove barriers in the CCS program application process for foster youth in the pilot program by removing specified requirements. By December 1 of each year of the pilot program is active, MSDE must report to the General Assembly on the status of the program and evaluation in meeting the program's goals. The bill takes effect July 1, 2025 and terminates June 30th, 29. There is one amendment in your packet from Delegate Shetty, and this amendment changes the purpose of the program from a pilot program to a permanent program to allow for the removal of certain application barriers for parenting youth and increase eligibility access to the Child Care Scholarship Program for the foster youth's child. It strikes the requirement to track certain expenditure information under the program, requires the Department of Human Services to make referrals to MSD regarding the program, and it removes the termination date. There is an amendment also for SB 687, not in your packet, and it conforms the Senate bill to the House bill as amended.
Okay, so we've got first on 1121, an amendment from Delegate Shetty. Vice Chair moves favorable on that amendment. Is there a second on the Shetty amendment from Senator Augustine? Discussion? Okay, all in favor of the Shetty amendment to House Bill 1121, raise your hand. All opposed, that amendment carries. We have House Bill 1121 on the table as amended. Vice Chair moves favorable. Is there a second?
Second.
Senator Brooks moves on the second. discussion? Again, House Bill 1121 as amended. Okay, all in favor of House Bill 1121 as amended, raise your hand. All opposed? That motion carries unanimously. So next, Stacy, we can take up Senator Benson's cross-file.
Yes.
Senate Bill 687, we'll just take a motion to conform 687 to what we just did on 1121, okay? We've got a motion from the Vice Chair, a second from Senator Brooks. All in favor of Senate Bill 687 to conform it to House Bill 1121, raise your hand. All opposed, the Benson 687 passes. Next up, House Bill 1316, Stacy.
House Bill 1316, Primary and Secondary Education, Youth-Centric Technology and Social Media Resource Guide. This bill requires the National Center for School Mental Health at the University of Maryland School of Medicine, in consultation with the Maryland State Department of Education, to develop and publish a youth-centric technology and social media resource guide as specified. To assist in the development of the guide, NCSMH must develop a needs assessment as specified by September 1, 26. The guide must be completed before the 27-28 school year, and the center must periodically update the guide. The guide must be posted and distributed as specified on or before the first day of each school year, beginning with the 27-28 school year. There are no amendments.
And I should note this is a cross-file of Senate Bill 897 from Senator Love. Okay, back to House Bill 1316, which has no amendments. Discussion. Okay, any motions?
Second.
The Vice Chair moves favorable, second from Senator Augustine. House Bill 1316, favorable motion. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, that motion carries unanimously. On Senate Bill 897, Stacy, the Love Bill, do we need any amendments to conform them, or?
Yes.
Okay, we've got
you do
already
need
drafted.
amendments to conform them.
Okay, so we'd like to entertain a motion to conform 896-7 to what we just passed on House Bill 1316. Question? Yes.
Also like to be added as a co-sponsor. I've worked on
Okay.
this for several years.
Okay, so we have two things. First, motion to conform 897 to 1316. Let's take that up first. All in favor? Raise your hand. That carries unanimously. Now we'll entertain a sponsorship amendment, starting Senator Hester would like to be on the bill. Senator Attar, anybody else want to be on this legislation as a co-sponsor? Okay, we've got Attar and Hester. All in favor of the sponsor amendment, raise your hand. All opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Devin, House Bill 1473.
House Bill 1473, State Government, Equal Access to Public Services for Individuals with Limited English Proficiency and Individuals with Disabilities. This bill expands existing requirements for specified state departments, agencies, and programs regarding efforts to provide equal access to public services for individuals with limited English proficiency and disabilities. Among other requirements, the entities must develop a language access plan and take reasonable steps to provide equal access to public services for individuals who need language assistance based upon limited English proficiency. By September 30th each year, each state entity identified by the bill must submit a report to the Governor's Office of Immigrant Affairs that contains certain information for the previous fiscal year. There are amendments on page 27 of your packet. These amendments limit the expanded provisions to individuals with limited English proficiency and eliminate the application of the bill to educational provisions as they are already covered in the education article. Those amendments reduce the fiscal note of the bill significantly.
Okay, question from Senator Carrozza.
So just to understand it, they've removed the individuals with disabilities
Correct.
from, so this bill now
Only applies to individuals with limited English proficiency. No, that amendment was offered by the sponsor.
Okay, additional questions for Devin on this piece of legislation or the amendment that limits the bill and the fiscal note? Okay. On the amendment, anybody want to move the amendment? Okay, Senator Brooks moves the amendment, the limiting amendment. Is there a second? From Senator Hester. Okay, all in favor of the amendment to House Bill 1473, which narrows the bill and the fiscal note, raise your hand. All opposed? We've got Senators Simonaire and Gallion are in the red. Well, again, this is just on the amendment. We're just on the amendment. Okay, so it's 8-3 with, on the amendment, Simonaire, Carosa, and Gallion in the red on the amendment. The amendment carries 8-3. Okay.
I don't love the amendment either.
Okay, well, do you want to change your vote?
Yes.
Okay, so Senator Kagan would like to be in the red. Okay, so the motion, the vote count is 7-4. That amendment carries, which brings the fiscal note down. We do have House Bill 1473 as amended with that 7-4 vote on the table. Is there a motion to move the bill? Senator Brooks moves the bill 1473 as amended. Is there a second? Second from Senator Augustine. Let's do a roll call on this one. House Bill 1473 as amended is before us. We'll do a roll call.
All right, Senator Kagan?
Aye.
Senator Kagan, yes. Senator Augustine? Yes. Senator Augustine, yes. Senator Gallion? No. Senator Gallion, no. Senator Watson? Yes. Senator Watson, yes. Senator Attar? Senator Attar, yes. Senator Brooks? Yes. Senator Brooks, yes. Senator Carosa? No. Senator Carosa, no. Senator Hester? I wish we could have done the whole thing this year, but I think half the bill is better than letting it die. So, yeah, I vote yes. All right. Senator Washington?
Yes.
Senator Washington, yes. Senator Simonaire?
Explaining my vote, I was going to vote yes, but when we took the disabilities out of there, I can't support it, so no.
All right. Senator Simonaire, no. Senator Feldman?
Yes, bill carries 8-3. Next up, Stacy, House Bill 1475.
House Bill 1475, Office of Child Care Advisory Council, Publicly Funded Pre-Kindergarten Analysis and Report, the Mixed Delivery Model Viability Act. This bill requires the Office of Child Care Advisory Council within the Maryland State Department of Education to conduct an analysis of the mixed delivery, publicly funded, full-day pre-kindergarten system. The council must solicit feedback from public pre-kindergarten providers, private pre-kindergarten providers, and child care providers who have elected not to participate in the full-day publicly funded pre-kindergarten program. By June 26 and December 31, 2027, respectively, the council must submit to the State Board of Education and the General Assembly a specified interim report and a specified final report. The bill takes effect July 1, 25 and terminates June 30th, 28. There is one amendment in your packet offered by the chair, begins on page 28, is the reprint. This strikes the Office of Child Care Advisory Council and substitutes a work group convened by MSDE, and it adds AIB as to one of the entities to which the report must be submitted.
Okay, so the amendment basically is directed to there was issue about whether this particular advisory council really was the right entity to do the sampling and the survey and had the capacity, and so this maintains the bill, but it's like, okay, let's make sure we get the right folks to do the kind of work that needs to be done or called for in the bill, but that's basically what the amendment is. So we've got Senator Washington with a question.
Yes, I move no, to move the amendment.
Okay, Senator Washington moves the amendment, a second from Senator Watson. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of that one amendment, raise your hand. All opposed? We now have House Bill 1475 as amended before us. Any motions? Senator Watson moves the bill as amended. Is there a second from Senator Washington? Okay. All in favor of House Bill 1475 as amended, raise your hand. All opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Now we're going to go to House Bill 503, the Governor's Housing Development Act. And we do have I'm going to first turn to April to I think we spent about an hour on Saturday on this bill, so I don't know if we need to rehash the whole thing, but we do have an amendment that's been proffered by Senator Augustine, and maybe April, you could describe it, and Senator Augustine can have a discussion about the amendment to the bill.
Okay. So House Bill 503 is a reminder, Housing Development Act. It's an administration bill that requires the Department of Housing and Community Development to, 1, establish housing production targets every 10 years for the state, each county, and each municipality that exercise zoning or planning authority, and 2, report each year on progress towards the targets. In addition, the bill as it came over from the House establishes that a housing development project application approval or denial is governed by the laws and regulations in effect when the complete application or substantially complete application was submitted. And 2, once approved, a project has a vested right to the authorized use and development for at least 5 years. Finally, the bill establishes the Housing Opportunities Made Equitable or HOME Commission, staffed by DHCD, to study factors that impact housing supply and affordability and make recommendations. So there is, as referenced, an amendment in your bill packet being offered by Senator Augustine. This is on page 3 of the voting packet. The amendment would strike the provisions about freezing the applicable regulations at the time a housing development application is submitted, as well as the provisions vesting development rights for 5 years after an application is approved. The amendment would then specifically require the Home Commission established by the bill to study and make recommendations on options to improve regulatory certainty for housing development projects, including, as deemed appropriate by the Commission, options related to 1, using objective standards in the consideration of housing development project applications, 2, basing decisions on housing development project applications on the laws and regulations in effect when a complete application is made, and 3, granting vested rights for approved housing development projects.
Okay, Senator Augustine, and then we'll take questions.
Yeah, just want to start by saying that we know how important it is that we improve or gain housing stock, but I just feel like, and we got to make progress on that, but I think that we still have some work to do to ensure that we are making that progress. So I think that this is a step forward to us to ensure that we are going to do that so that we'll be able to come back and address this very, very complex issue in a way that's thoughtful with some more time. And so I'm going to move the amendment.
Okay, we've got a motion from Senator Augustine, a second from Senator Washington. Well, we'll see if take up the amendment and discuss the amendment, so we're going to start with Senator Hester.
I appreciate the work you've done on this, Senator. What's the difference between this amendment and the Mako amendment?
This is an amendment that I've worked on,
Okay.
over the weekend. So I don't,
NACO essentially said to strike those same provisions that are struck. I don't know that they specifically called for the Home Commission to study. They didn't explicitly point out these things for study.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any additional discussion? Okay, we have the Augustine amendment in front of us. Let's do further questions. Yes, Vice Chair Kagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There continue to be a lot of stakeholders in the room. I wonder, Mr. Chair, is it appropriate to ask whether this mollifies some of Mako's concerns or if that's not an acceptable question?
Well, we're going to devolve into another hour.
I am not looking to do that.
We did on Saturday. I mean, I think the answer to that is probably.
Okay, I got a subtle.
Well, how about this? Just Mr. Sanderson, if you could just very quickly, yeah, okay, you know what? I think we just need to roll it. Don't forget now, whatever we do here, it's got to go back to the.
I'm getting nonverbal.
It has to go back to the House of Delegates, and they may or may not accept these. So, there's still a back and forth here. Okay, Senator Hester, just again on the amendment. We moved the amendment, but do you want to discuss the amendment, or otherwise we'll? Okay. Okay, let's, just so everybody's on the record, let's do a roll call on the Augustine amendment, just so there's no confusion.
All right, Senator Kagan?
Aye.
Senator Kagan, yes. Senator Augustine?
Yes.
Senator Augustine, yes. Senator Gallion?
Yes.
Senator Gallion, yes. Senator Watson?
Yes.
Senator Watson, yes. Senator Attar?
Yes.
Senator Attar, yes. Senator Brooks?
Yes.
Senator Brooks, yes. Senator Cardoza?
Yes.
Senator Cardoza, yes. Senator Hester?
Yes.
Senator Hester, yes. Senator Washington?
Oh, yes.
Senator Washington, yes. Senator Salmonere?
No.
Senator Salmonere, no. Senator Feldman?
Okay, yes. Motion carries 10-1. We have 503. Oh,
Sorry,
sure.
just one more piece. So and this had been in some amendments requested by the governor's office, but just to note, the Home Commission, as it came over from the House, doesn't have a termination date on it, so they had requested just to put a sunset provision terminating the Home Commission after 2 years, May 31st, 2027.
Okay, Senator Augustine moves that termination date. Second from Senator Washington. All in favor of that suggestion from the administration, raise your hand. All opposed? Okay, we now have House Bill 503 with those 2 amendments on the bill. Is there a motion? Senator Augustine moves the bill as amended. Is there a second? Senator Brooks. Okay, roll call. Lamoria, on the bill, House Bill 503 is amended.
Senator Kagan?
Aye.
Senator Kagan, yes. Senator Augustine? Yes. Senator Augustine, yes. Senator Gallion? Yes. Senator Gallion, yes. Senator Watson? Yes. Senator Watson, yes. Senator Attar? Yes. Senator Attar, yes. Senator Brooks? Yes. Senator Brooks, yes. Senator Carozza? Yes. Senator Carozza, yes. Senator Hester? Senator Hester, yes. Senator Washington? Yes. Senator Washington, yes. Senator Simonaire? Senator Simonaire, yes. And Senator Feldman?
Yes, that bill carries. Okay, this bill, again, still has to go back to the House of Delegates. We'll see what happens in the amended form. So that said, we'll now take, that completes our voting list on this list. So now let's take up some concurrences. Devin, I think you've got 5.
I do. Senate Bill 909, Energy Resource Adequacy and Planning Act. This bill establishes the Strategic Energy Planning Office subject to specified requirements. The office is funded through assessments imposed on public service companies through an existing process administered by the Public Service Commission. By September 1, 2028, and every 3 years thereafter, the office must develop and submit a comprehensive wholesale energy markets and bulk power system risk report to the Governor and the General Assembly. The bill also establishes reporting requirements for the Public Service Commission, the Maryland Department of Transportation, and the Maryland Energy Administration. The bill takes effect July 1, 2025. The House amendments strike language relating to studying both levelized cost of electricity and levelized full cost of electricity. Otherwise, the bill's the same.
Okay. Yeah. Questions just on what Devin described. So the House struck some language and just
So
back on the House amendments,
Yep.
just so we're clear.
Yep. So this committee put on an amendment as part of its amendments to the bill, adding an analysis. In the analysis section, this committee said including studying levelized cost of electricity, which is a specific study, methodology of study, and levelized full system cost of electricity, which is a separate kind of study. The House believed that the bill hasn't been prescriptive on specific studies that were added to it anywhere else in the bill, so the House struck those 2.
Senator Hester, Bill. Do you want to?
Well, in the bill, we're allowed to ask for different, kind of studies and policy scenarios. I mean, if this is important to this committee, this was the Carozza amendment, could we study it at some point in the future through one of those scenarios?
So the bill allows for this committee and for the Economic Matters Committee each year to choose something that they would send to the office to study. That's a provision already in the bill.
Not waiting 3 years, or it could be requested?
It could be requested within, after the bill is passed and signed by the governor.
Okay, so I think the answer to that's yes. That could be absolutely one of the requests that we make during the interim. So with that, right now, it's a question of whether we concur or not concur. Senator Hester, yeah. Okay, Senator Hester, the sponsor, moves to concur. Second from Senator Watson. Any discussion on the motion to concur? Okay, all in favor on Senate Bill 909 on the motion to concur, raise your hand. Okay, all opposed just on the motion to concur. Seeing none, that motion carries. Devin, let's go back to you.
So, Mr. Chair, the committee also has before it House Bill 1037, which is the cross-file to Senate Bill 909.
Okay,
And
that's
it
right.
would have the same language in it.
Okay, so House Bill, so this would be just to straight up to vote the bill. Okay, so now House Bill 1037 is in the same posture as Senate Bill 909 that we just concurred on. And so I guess I would entertain a motion this is the Crosby cross-file, to move 1037, which will match it to Senate Bill 909. Okay, Senator Hester moves House Bill 1037. Is there a second from Senator Watson? Okay, and all in favor of House Bill 1037, raise your hand. All opposed, that motion carries. Next, before we get to, okay, let's just keep going. So what's next up?
Senate Bill 931, Public Utilities, Generating Stations, Generating and Siting, Renewable Energy Certainty Act. As amended, this bill adds a new factor that the Public Service Commission must consider before taking final action on a certificate of public convenience and necessity. It establishes specified requirements for the construction of energy storage devices and solar energy generating stations. It imposes requirements and limitations on local jurisdictions with respect to the construction and development of such devices and generating stations. It establishes requirements for the sale, lease, and installation of residential rooftop solar energy generating stations and subjects violators to fines, and requires the PSC to conduct a study and report on the results by December 1, 2026. The House amendments add an additional study on the feasibility of a community solar auto-enrollment program and creates a distributed generation CPCN process for faster permitting processes for small solar stations between 2 and 5 megawatts, but those stations still must meet the siting requirements of the bill.
Okay, obviously this bill we spent like an hour on the floor on. If you recall, we took out the auto enroll, but this basically says let's take a study and see if that's feasible. And secondly, as far as this expedited permitting process, I actually think this is a good idea. The community solar program we made it permanent in this committee 2 years ago, Senator Brooks' bill. You know, the problem is the CPCN process is pretty cumbersome. You know, it really was designed for nuclear power plant, coal installations. So this, I think, allows a lot of these applications to move through a more expedited process. In fact, Senator Brooks had a bill this session here, so this is borrowing from the Brooks bill, because time is the biggest factor when you're talking about trying to get these projects online. And so I think this is actually a good amendment. So with that said, the two amendments, obviously we could take some discussion, but is there a motion on the motion on the table is concur. So is there a motion to concur? Okay, Senator Augustine moves to concur with the House amendments, these two amendments, second from the Vice Chair. Senator Brooks? Yeah. Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion to concur with those House amendments that I described, raise your hand. Okay, all opposed? Do you have a dissent on the concurrence?
We had a split vote on this the last time. So
Yeah, so
I just wasn't going to, I was just going to abstain.
on the underlying bill, what was the vote count on Senate Bill 931? Actually, I think it was, I think Senator Simon Ayer may have voted for the bill. Yeah, it was, okay, it was an 8-2 vote on the bill going out. Senator Simon Ayer was yay, and it was Carrozza and Gallion. So you want to stick with that vote? On the concurrence motion? Okay, so it's an 8-2 vote on the concurrence, so that,
No. Senator Washington was absent before, so it would be
okay.
assuming she wants to vote.
Okay, so Senator Washington, you were not here, maybe? I don't recall.
That's
I think
correct.
she was marked as absent.
Okay, would you like to be in the yes on the motion to concur? That makes it a 9-2 vote. Okay, the concurrent, irrespective,
Yeah, that's why I didn't.
carries on 931. Let's next move to 937.
So you also have before you House Bill 1036, which is the cross-file to Senate Bill
Correct. We have the
931.
C.T. Wilson cross-file of this bill, which is 1036. So we want to take that up so that it matches what we just did on Senate Bill 931. And so is there a motion to move the Wilson cross-file on 1036? Okay, Senator Hester moves that. Senator Washington on the Wilson bill. Okay, House Bill 1036, that's the bill?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Everybody want to vote the same way as they did? Okay, so it's a 9-2 vote with Senators Carosa and Gallion in the red. And that motion on the House cross-file carries. Let's go to, you want to go take on 937, which is from the presiding officers.
Senate Bill 937, Electricity and Gas, Emissions Reductions, Rate Regulation, Cost Recovery, Infrastructure, Planning, Renewable Energy Portfolio Standard, and Energy Assistance Programs, Next Generation Energy Act. This bill authorizes the Department of Housing and Development to issue loans instead of grants for specified energy conservation and renewable energy projects under a program required under the Climate Solutions Now Act, and expands the sources of savings that DHCD will procure. The bill establishes requirements for investor-owned gas and electric companies to demonstrate the reasonableness of using internal labor in comparison to contractual labor. The bill alters the purpose of the process for authorizing gas infrastructure replacement. It's the STRIDE bill. Surcharges requires gas companies to submit additional information and propose gas infrastructure and replacement plans to the Public Service
Devin,
Commission.
since we spent an hour and a half on this, why don't you just tell us what the House did by
The House amendments, sure. The House amendments remove the prohibition on co-location, but give the PSC more power to ensure co-located loads pay the same fees and costs as everyone else. The House amendments make technical changes to the large load tariff language and removes a requirement that municipal utilities would participate in rate-making processes. It sets the pre-application process for the expedited CPCN program at 45 days unless it's in an EJ community. Then it would go back to the original 90 days. The House amendments make a couple of technical and clarifying changes also to that expedited process. The House amendments make a clarifying change to nuclear procurement that makes it clear that it's only for new nuclear power, not for any nuclear power that the state's already receiving. The House amendments change the requirement for multi-year rate plans from public interest to demonstrate consumer benefits and prohibits reconciliation. It alters the base gas rate language to clarify that replacements are done for safety, and alters the in-house labor language to the original language that was in the bill.
We'll take some questions on the amendments from the House. Vice Chair Kagan.
Quick question, Devin. One thing that caught my ear here was 45 days expedited, but if it's an EJ community, then it's the normal time. Is that to give more time to engage community members, or what's the thinking? It's not more time to kill it or pass it or?
No, it's more time to engage the community.
Okay. And stakeholders believe that that was useful and appropriate?
Correct.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Senator Augustine, since you did such a brilliant job on the floor defending this piece of legislation, do you have any opinion as to whether we should move to concur? Okay, Senator Augustine moves to concur with the House amendments. Is there a second from Vice Chair Kagan? Discussion? Okay, this is a bill that did, if you recall, the underlying bill did pass 11-0, as I recall, out of this committee. So, you're not bound to do the same thing here. In fact, let's, on 937, we're moving to concur. So actually, to be honest with you, we just need to see if we've got enough votes. So all in favor of the motion to concur, raise your hand. Okay, anybody opposed to the motion to concur? That motion carries.
Mr. Chair, you have House Bill 1035 before you,
Correct.
which is
so
identical.
We've got the House cross-file from the Speaker of the House, 1035. And is there a motion to, again, put in the same posture as 937?
Second.
Okay, it's just a motion on, correct, the motion on favorable on House Bill 1035. A second from the Vice Chair. Again, this was an 11-0 on the underlying bill the first time out. Okay, all in favor of House Bill 1035 this time, raise your hand. Okay, anybody opposed on this one? Okay, we've got Senator Gallion. So that's a 10-1 vote, and that carries. Devin, you've got two more, I think, small.
Very quickly. The bill that keeps on giving. House Bill 222, Public Safety, Fuel Gas Piping Systems and Corrugated Stainless Steel Tubing, Prohibitions and Study. The House bill needs amending to conform with the Senate version. Two words were missing from the House version, and they're not technical. Unfortunately, because they're in the posture, we actually have to appoint a conference committee for the bill.
Okay, well, so what's the motion on the table that you're suggesting? Just so I'm clear.
To not recede and appoint a conference
Okay.
committee.
Okay, so, okay, Senator Augustine moves not to recede. And again, that would result in a very short conference committee. Okay, all in favor of that motion, raise your hand. All opposed, motion carries. What's your last?
House Bill 427, State Board of Public Accountancy emeritus status. The House bill actually needs amending to conform with the Senate version. 2 words were missing from this, but the House version, and they are not technical. Would recommend that the committee recede.
So move to recede?
Correct.
What are the 2 words?
The state.
Okay, well, okay, Senator Augustine makes a very bold motion to recede. I hate to back down. Okay, a second from Senator Brooks. All in favor of the motion to recede, raise your hand. All opposed, that carries, and you are done. And we've got 2 concurrences or thereabouts from Stacy Goodman.
Right. So I have a request to recede from House Bill 702. This is County Boards of Education, Special Education Service Delivery Models, Publication Requirement. If you recall, the Senate amendments made a clarifying change at the request of a local board. We had talked to the House, there was an agreement to put it on, but for some reason, they did not. So Senator Brooks has requested that this committee recede from its amendments and make them conforming.
Okay, Stacy, what was, I apologize, what was the suggestion here?
That says, the suggestion is to recede.
Okay, Senator Brooks, you move to recede? Okay, second from Senator Augustine. All in favor of the motion to recede, raise your hand. All opposed? Stacy?
One last one. Senate Bill 259, Election Law, Local Boards of Elections, Election Plan Requirements. This departmental bill consolidates existing requirements for local boards of elections designation and location of polling places, early voting centers, ballot drop boxes, and approval of the designations locations by the State Board of Elections. The bill consolidates those requirements into a requirement that each local board submit a single election plan. The House amendments made several changes. First, for polling place plans, specified information must be included in the plan based on whether the local board is planning to reduce the total number of separate buildings used as a polling place from a specified threshold number. That threshold number is different based on whether the proposed reduction occurs in the year that the census is occurring or the years after it's done. The second amendment they made was at an early voting center, when determining the location of an early voting center, the local board must maintain a contact list of individuals and organizations regarding meetings of the local board discussing the proposed changes, and they must hold a meeting to discuss and vote on the proposed election plan change or a change in the location of the polling place. If you recall, this committee added similar amendments last year to that bill. They're just moving them from one place in the code to this place in the code. And finally, it requires the State Board of Elections to vote on each election plan.
Okay, Vice Chair Kagan?
How does the transparency in voting work with the Corman-Kagan LBE transparency? Is that redundant, or is it okay, or as you said, a
I
different part
had a
of the code?
conversation with the State Administrator of Elections, and he thought all of these changes were fine. They didn't have any problem with them.
Okay. So let's move to accept the House amendments.
Get a motion to concur from the Vice Chair, second from Senator Augustine. All in favor of the motion to concur, raise your hand. The House amendments. All opposed, motion carries. I think that brings us to one final piece of business. We're going to go to April.
Senate Bill 399, Natural Resources Wildland Areas Overhead Transmission Lines. This bill exempts, subject to specified conditions, certain lands from continuing to be designated as part of the Big Savage Mountain Wildland, Bear Pen Wildland, or Dan's Mountain Wildland. More specifically, the existing boundaries of each wildland do not include any next-era energy transmission line if that line runs parallel to the existing Potomac-Edison transmission line, and a certificate of public convenience and necessity is obtained from the Public Service Commission. So the House has added some amendments to this bill. to add some additional caveats. So in addition to running parallel to that existing right-of-way, there would also need to be the case that the NextEra transmission line does not disturb any area further than 200 feet from the nearest point of the Potomac Edison transmission line right-of-way, unless federal law or regulation requires further distance between the transmission lines or the department determines that a greater distance between the transmission lines is necessary to minimize impacts on other resources. And the line is designed in consultation with the department, this is the Department of Natural Resources, to minimize forest loss, fragmentation, and habitat. Finally, two more things. The House amendments also specify that if this project is approved, that the NextEra generation line applicants would have to assist the department in acquiring and replacing the Type 1 state wildland acreage that is lost as a result of the transmission line with acreage that is twice the size and is suitable for designation as wildland acreage, and to develop and implement a land conservation management plan for the area affected by the transmission line that supports wildland habitats. And then finally, adds some uncodified language, first providing that the bill may not abrogate an existing right of public participation in statute or regulations, and then say that the entire bill is contingent on a 120-day stakeholder process that includes a public participation process that meets the requirements of the Public Service Commission general processes for reviewing transmission lines, at least one public advertised meeting within 25 miles of each impacted designated wildland area, at least one public meeting that provides for virtual participation, a special effort on the part of an applicant to reach out to organizations with special expertise in wildlands, wildlife management, and environmental stewardship, a portal of public comments which must be submitted to the Department of Natural Resources, a 90-day deliberation period by the Department of Natural Resources, and a recommendation by the Secretary of Natural Resources that the Public Service Commission issue a certificate of public convenience and necessity for the proposed transmission line.
Okay, so this bill, the underlying bill, did pass 9-0 out of this committee. I think these amendments, I think you could describe as putting maybe some more environmental protections in place that did not exist on the 9-0 bill that we sent out the first time. And with that, I'd,
What would be the appropriate motion?
motion to concur, straight up. These are the House amendments.
Yeah, I would say motion to concur is how stronger.
So Sarah Augustine moves to concur, Senator Washington. Okay, let's just take a vote on the motion to concur on this one. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, motion carries. And yes, Senator Hester? And we're at 12:30 almost. We've got to go to the floor in a minute, but yeah.
Just one more concurrence.
Sure, what, from who?
Bill 867 on the list, they're adding the adjutant general to the Cyber Maryland Workforce Board.
867.
Okay, Devin, you got that? Okay, let's do it.
Senate Bill 867, Cyber Maryland Program revisions, transferring the Cyber Maryland program from the Maryland Technology Development Corporation to the Maryland Department of Labor, altering the duties of the program. The House amendments add the Adjutant General to the Cyber Maryland program.
Okay, Senator Hester moves to concur, second from the Vice Chair. All in favor of the motion to concur, raise your hand. All opposed, that carries. Perfect timing, just in time to go to the floor.